Hey everybody, filtering in. I'm just kicking Twitch on Firefox on my computer real quick because it's being an idiot. Hey Dave. Hey Motsky. Alright, well, I give up. Doesn't want to load there, so whatevs. Netscape Navigator. Guys, do you remember Netscape Navigator? Besides, like, old fogies like myself. So I have a couple of quick things I've got to accomplish. Might have to do a quick switch to Chrome if this isn't going to load on Firefox today. Blurg. It's one of those moments you remember that you probably should have just restarted Firefox before you started. Yeah, it's definitely Firefox because it just loaded on Chrome, no problem. I don't know. Anyway, you guys let me know if something goes wrong with the stream. Hey, Samuel. Alright, first thing I gotta do is, gotta kill myself a bunch of times. Lycos search engines, jeez. You can see our pal, the giant archer over there. It's funny they have him animate all the way back here, and it's actually a smooth animation because usually when something is far away, they'll just drop the frames intentionally, so it looks like kind of stop motion-ish. But for him, he gets full frames. Mostly because they think that you're not going to be looking at something that far away. Which is true for the most part. am I looking at? There is a reason I'm doing this. By the by. That should be 4. Yeah, loan sharking levels.
Shall we begin? Bearer of the dark sign, let your true strength shine. Then shall we begin? Bearer of the dark sign, let your true strength shine.
Alright, that's as much strength as this build is going to take ever.
You have attained admirable strength. All will soon be clear, my good lord.
So now we have taken on the mantle of Lord of Hollows, whatever that means for us right now. We have drawn out our true strength derived from the darkness. Strength derived from death. This is your last chance to pick up whatever he sells, but it's not a big deal because the person who takes over for him will.
As I have said, I was once a sorcerer. Alas, the magic of Londor is a far cry from the wonders of Vinheim. But I can teach you what I know. Perhaps, more importantly, I believe that I can help tease out your true strength. We pilgrims of Londor are keenly aware that those branded by the dark side possess something quite special.
And here is your gesture. You can miss this if you just forget to talk to him and just like burn through his levels and then have him die. It is quite possible to just miss that gesture.
Be safe, our Lord.
And that is Yoel. Grey Rat is back like we saw last time. Keys, keys, keys. Okay, I have given everything, and as you did just see, I have 5 full dark sigils. We defeated the stray demon that has no flame, the more or less dying stray demon, which does say the stray demon was a gatekeeper of Lothric. Hey, Toby. And for your trouble, you can get a couple of things, so let's take a look at that. Okay. Restarting Firefox worked. I can see my stream now. Hooray! So you can get his Boulder Heave, Art of a Stray Demon of Stifled Flame. Stifled is the same as like quieting and stuff like that. Spews a boulder from one's mouth. The boulder is heavy but shatters easily. And you can also get Havel's Ring, which I do not need, and this character is a pyromancer, so let's pick this up. We can also get the Crystal Sage Rapier, thrusting sword with tiny crystals scattered across its blade, used by the Crystal Sages for self-defense. The crystals boost the magic damage inflicted by the sword and the item discovery of its wielder, fruits of the lifetime of research conducted by sages. Which I believe is the only thing. Those looking to platinum Dark Souls 3 would know this rapier very well because its item find thing, it does work in your offhand. It's very nice. The other thing you can get is Crystal Hail, which is kind of useless. Unique sorcery developed by extraordinary preacher twins known as the Crystal Sages. Casts a cascade of small crystal soul masses from above. Crystal soul masses have piercing qualities. In a pact said to have been formed long ago, one of the sages allied with the Undead Legion in order to train the sorcerers of Faerun. Piercing is not the same as it used to be. In Dark Souls 2, piercing was crazy. Crystal Hail has a lot of issues, ranging from it being really slow, and you can just kind of step around it. Shrug. The Pilgrims are scattered in Lothric, and they are all pointed in exactly the same direction, and they're all trying to get to Emma, and more like they're trying to get to Upper Lothric, which they can't get to because the doors are closed to Emma, because they have to get through Emma to get to the Prince's Lothric. I like the subtle bit of afterward that the Ring City adds with regards to Emma. We'll get to there soon-ish, maybe? So let's reset Firelink. Because we have one more person to talk to. I think it's less than that and more that Lothric sits right on top of the kiln and they want to get to the kiln. Lothric is the Lord of Cinder. The game goes through very specific motions to declare what a Lord of Cinder is. A Lord of Cinder linked to the flame. Period. Full stop. And the game is never as specific as it is with what a Lord of Cinder is.
Oh, prithee, art thou good Yoel's master?
Yes.
I am Yuria.
The problem is when they came back.
Thanks to thee, Yoel's soul is redeemed. Allow me to express my
Everybody
gratitude
says I'm
to
wrong
this
about that, but I think everybody is trying to make a mountain out of molehill. And the simplest explanation, considering the great pains the game goes through to tell you what a Lord of Cinder is that they linked the flame, and when they came back, they didn't like it. So, the end.
Another matter. Thou a lord art thou not? Bearer of the dark sigil.
The simplest explanation
Lord of Hollows.
is that they did.
For the time thou remainest our lord, we of Londor shall serve.
There's a lot of mental gymnastics that was being thrown about to say that they didn't. So this is Yuria. Because Yoel left, she appears. She might have been here the whole time, or his death transferred his vow to me to her, which is probably what happened. And since he was a sorcerer, he probably knew how to do such a thing. She has a few things. She has everything that Yoel had, plus some other stuff. She has Dark Hand, which you'll know from Dark Souls 1, which they got like 30 million of and never got a stupid slab from a stupid Dark Wraith. Arrgh! She's got the Untrue Dark Ring, the Untrue White Ring, and 3, one for each of her sisters, Rings of Sacrifice. So, she has all 3 of her sisters' Rings of Sacrifice. And she also has this Londor Braille Divine Tome, which we'll pick up but not give out because, reasons. She also has some Purging Stones, you know, just in case you want to not look like a raisin. And Poison Throwing Knives. Poison is now completely linked to Londor. As poison, it is jokingly known as Hollow's Blood. So I'm going to pick this up and just sit on it. A Braille Tome of Londor, first spoken by Liliane of the Sable Church. Give this to a storyteller to learn miracles of Londor. This is a forbidden tome, as it offers salvations to all hollows, and conversely, cures all things living. Remember when I mentioned that Aldea likes to say that this life is a lie? That the life you really want, the life you think you want, is a huge lie? Let me put a couple things in the item box before I make Yuria mad. Because I'm going to make Yuria mad. For science. So, to make an NPC mad, you have to hit them 3 times. Well, bye! Lothric was king because he was king. His father had retreated from public life a long, long time ago because he went insane. Lothric was king because he ruled Lothric. He just didn't take the mantle of prince. But like I said when we started, The thrones tell the truth. Never doubt what the thrones say. The thrones tell the truth. And so he was king in all but taking the name. Where are you, pale shade? Nah, he was king. He was king in all but name. Because he didn't want the mantle of responsibility. The mantle of responsibility only destroyed his brother, who he idolized. Damn it. He idolized his brother, by the way. His brother is the only person in Lothric's family that he idolized. His brother was strong, tall. He slayed demons in his spare time. What's not to like about Lorien? But then Lorien was never meant to be the golden child, or the platinum child, considering the sword. Oh, I have to ember. That's what I did wrong. And then when they linked the fire, and Lorien was probably the bodyguard or whatever, the fire killed Lorien. But since they're so linked together, they shared Lothric's undeath. And so Lorien was a facsimile or a mockery of his former self. What kind of guilt does that make to a person who was told his entire life he was supposed to be the golden child, but the guy who he idolized as his golden child died and is like, can't even really die, but suffered some sort of ego death because of him, because of the things he was supposed to be? That would disillusion yourself from anything approaching what you were grown up or dogmatically put to believe with regards to the linking of the fire. That would disillusion you hardcore. No scholar, even though the scholar's words probably ring true in the end, where the heck? Like, you've got to think about it in a very specific way. Lothric idolized Lorien. The fact that Lorien is nothing more than a puppet that Lothric, teleports around and really doesn't have his own agency or whatever anymore, is very, very telling. Where the heck is the Londor Pale Shade? Come on. Did you guys see that? It's puppeting. He's puppeting. Lorien doesn't exist so far as a personality is concerned. He even can't, like, walk on his own feet. Somebody tell me exactly where to stand for the Pale Shade invasion, because I need to have that invasion just start. I know it's on this side, and they're not gay lovers. Cheapers, people. They're brothers who only had each other forever. Gertrude was off being weird with angels, and he had to lock her up. Lothric and Lorien only had one another, and they were two halves of the same whole, as per, like, twin mythology. I don't think we have a Kamui and Fuma thing here going. I think everybody made that assumption. Cutscenes don't really matter. This isn't X 1999, man. I don't think they're Fuma or Kamui. Fuma. Like, there's a lot of X 1999 in Dark Souls secretly, but like, or not so secret, but... Just gonna get my souls, I guess. I thought the Pale Shade invasion was up here. Where is it? And Lorien is expressly stated as having embraced his brother's curse, which means he probably wasn't undead, but his brother was. And his brother was cursed with being that Lord of Cinder. So guess what? They did it. Guess what also happened? Stuff like his brother just... Wait. Let me wait for the stream to catch up. Left. Right. Right. Can't sleep, can't walk, can't talk, you know, probably can't kill a demon. He's just a pale shade of what he used to be. And guess who thinks of themselves as the one who's at fault for all of that? Samuel, let me know if I'm going the right way. Not there it is. Thanks, Samuel. I'm gonna get out of here so I can actually work this. One sec. Sorry about that. Hey, Loki. Let's just watch the Londor Pale Shade do that RP walk. Thank you. So early. I don't know what is it with me in Dark Souls 3 fairies, but I like understand them in a way I do not understand them in Dark Souls 2. Alright, now that that's done, now we've got to go pay the pay the fine. I just think it's more like it's 30 FPS, and for some reason I understand the input lag on 30 FPS more than 60 FPS. Like I intuit the 30 FPS lag a little bit more than 60 FPS. Lothric is the younger, yeah. Ah, man. 35,000? Come on, Velka. Why are you so expensive? You know how many levels 35,000? Alright, well. Can't go to the shrine right now. The shrine is locked out because I do not want to fight Yuria. Yeah, 5 probably. I seem to remember it being less when I did it on Meralda, but I could just be mistaken. Let's go to the what's it called? Cathedral. Let's go to church! Yeah, this little mini side quest thing about making Yuria angry twice makes the Pale Shade armor probably the most expensive armor set. Or at least the most pain in the butt one. We picked up the Manikin Claws, so let us take a look at that. Remember, mannequins they started in Dark Souls 2. They had no heads, although they were intended to have heads because you get the mannequin mask in Dark Souls 2. Weapon of the Pale Shades. Assassins of the Sable Church of Londor. The curved claws cause heavy bleeding. When two-handed, claws are equipped to each hand. Quick step. Instantly step behind or around the side of foes. Especially effective when locked on to target. Oh yeah, poison's good now, right? Well, at least it's better than it used to be. It's, you know, there's some merit to that, especially since Earthen Peak is in Dark Souls 3, And everybody's like, why is Earth and Peak in Dark Souls 3? Well, poison. Remember the whole poison thing? Actually, I need to take this off because it's going to be annoying. Leave Mytha. Leave Dark Souls 2 alone! No. No. Dark Souls 2 is canon, y'all. I don't care what you say. It's totally canon. Until Miyazaki's like, yeah, it's not canon. It's canon. Londor loved its poison, y'all. Poor Hunter. DS2 is fake, yeah, but it's still real enough. That's the other thing. It was real enough to work. It's weird, I know. It's like almost unnecessarily weird. Poor Hunter. Need a new Souls game. Definitely would agree. I totally screwed up that backstab. Yeah, next Armored Core. I've been trying to find a For Answer, like locally, because I don't want to buy it on the internet. I just want to like find it. I know locally there's a Armored Core 5 Verdict Day hanging around somewhere, but I hear For Answer is probably the better one. So I wanted to like pick that up and play it. Look at this nerd down there. Edgy. So the plan is to get 35,000 souls. Because I need to get back to the shrine without angering Yuria. But we're going to be doing the cathedral today. because you might as well. And they kind of intend for you to do the cathedral now and wait for the poison swamp, because there's a poison bite ring in the cathedral. So like they wanted you to do the cathedral first. But I don't know. I kind of already completed the poison swamp. There's a couple of things I need to pick up, like the Nameless Knight attire and stuff like that. We picked up some new ashes. Umbral ash of a worn-out paladin who sought the Cathedral of the Deep. With this, the shrine handmaid will prepare new items. The paladin paid quite a price for his headstrong justice. And he's holding a Lloyd's talisman. Now, Lloyd's talismans go all the way back to Dark Souls 1. The Way of White was kind of founded by Allfather Lloyd, and Allfather Lloyd used to hunt undead. And the first of those undead was Paladin Leroy, who was Garl Vinland of Dark Souls 1. Paladin Leroy ends up hanging up with Nito, because he was Nito. I'm not sorry. So there's a long history of the Way of White hunting down undead, perhaps and as we also know, the Way of White was created by Gwyn's children as a way of enforcing a history that wasn't true, and enforcing a legacy of Gwyn as part of Gwyn's program of super realpolitik pragmatism. Because once you control the narrative, you control history, and you control collective memory, and as we also know, Dark Souls 2 is about collective memory in a lot of ways. So, when you have a institution bent on killing as many undead as you can find, which also has an echo in Dark Souls 2, you thin out the herd of people who can potentially overthrow Gwyn and his power apparatus. And then people think that this is headstrong justice. Hell, these ashes could actually be Paladin Leroy. But who knows? It's not here, right? No, it's on the other. Just making sure that the shield isn't here, because I know there's a shield hanging out in one of these little side paths. Yeah, there it is. Crest Shield. One of the super important blue shields. And blue is a color for sorcery, and it is in the color code of Dark Souls. Yeah, and it is Henri's shield. Henri hollows out and hangs out right here too, right? If you don't do the hollowing quest, and you let it go to the quote happy ending. A knight's shield engraved with a crest. One of the enchanted blue shields. The crest shields greatly reduce dark damage. So this one is for dark damage, and this one is fire damage. Blue has a specific connotation in Dark Souls for protection. Blue sentinels, blue crest shields. Oscar has one of the shields. Blue wooden shield. High magic absorption. Yeah, blue has a specific color connotation in Souls. You know, my pyromancy glove is powerful, but it's only doing 85 damage. I could go down there and fight him, but watching his AI freak out is pretty funny. That's what that's meant for. That ledge is meant for you to get a nice plunging attack on that guy. Me, I just kind of cheesed him. Anyway, so we got the Spider Shield, which you can get 2 of if you play your cards right in Dark Souls 1, and is pretty neat for using in Blighttown. A shield bearing a large etching of a spider. Spiders of this style are commonly used by savage mountain bandits and offer high resistance to poison. Here's a random thought. What if Lord Saldora, who had a thing for spooters, was one of those mountain bandits until he found Brightstone and got rich? Yeah. Time for teleporting dogs. I need to put my longbow back on. Doggos. Should be, yeah, there's one right there. It's just way easier when there's no doggos, like, yelling at you. The one time I actually use shields and remember to is against doggos. Something I learned in Demon Souls. It's like, just let them bounce off your shield and then hit them. I think everybody does that now though, so it's not like the big deal. It's a transitional area that isn't as dumb as the Dark Souls 2 ones. Because the Dark Souls 2 ones are basically literally just a hallway. And this one allows you a little bit more actual fun. Where's this dog? Doggo? Man, he gets super staggered. I think it's just to spice up what would be basically a hallway, because in Dark Souls 2, there's a lot of transitional areas. There might be more transitional areas in Dark Souls 2 than there are in Dark Souls 3. But the Dark Souls 2 ones are almost always like an elevator or a hallway, and it's probably not like the best part. Dark Souls 2 does not shine for those transitional areas. So they add in, you know, some NPCs to fight, and a couple of things to look at. They still kind of stick out, though. Alright, get your Kraygasms ready. Sir, are you okay? So, Ash kindles flame. Ash is also memory. And if you subscribe to that, memory kindles flame. Fire is also associated with knowledge and stuff. I don't know if you remember your kindergarten days, but I used to get medals back in elementary school and stuff like that with the Aladdin lamp of knowledge. I'm really thinking about like running through Ashes of Ariandel to get the sword I want, but I'm not sure if I should yet, because this build calls for Onyx Blade. And I'm not sure even if I can get to him, if I could kill him. Unless I cheese the crap out of him. I'll get you, Toby. I'm pretty sure that's you. We'll get to it later. I'm not in a huge hurry. Yeah, Wilhelm is pretty easy to cheese. You can just kind of like abuse his AI to fall off the ledge and stuff. Let me get the no dialogue first. Yeah, he just like runs off. I think the last time I cheesed him, I brought him to the very edge of his leash. So like I'd hit him, and then he'd try to walk back because he was being leashed. And then I'd hit him again and drag him closer, and then he'd try to leave again. Alright. That's the no dialogue. Let me pick up Toby. And so he'll be here until you enter the Ashes of Ariandel. By the way, we also did pick up the Herald Attire, which I like the Herald Attire quite a bit. Steel armor with a pure white cape, the signature of Heralds of the Way of White. Protection made of steel, has excellent physical absorption, but is found lacking in the blunt strikes and lightning damage. Let's wear it for now. Yeah, he's locking up a small child because of his headstrong loyalty to someone who told him to get the heck out. Also, he smoked too much, so. Astonach Whip, which is in all 3 games. It's in Dark Souls 2 over in the Huntsman's Copse. It's right here, and it is in Dark Souls 1, the Forest? I want to say it's the Forest. We're going to go through Zombie Central, Toby, just so you know. Pick up the Estus Shard. Alright. We're gonna try and get the Astora Great Sword, the Executioner Sword, and loot the goodies. Loot the goodies. Yeah, a few hundred pure souls. It's the Astora Greatsword, which is a very good quality weapon, if I'm not mistaken. Right. Sorry, Toby, if you don't exactly know where I'm going. I'm both trying to remember where everything is and not get you totally killed. So, what does everybody think? Does this place have anything to do with the Undead Crypt? Alright, we're going this way. Given the number of zombos who keep coming up from the ground, the Deep and the Grave Wardens. Alright, we're getting out of here. I think we have everything. It could be, yeah. Like, that's a question I like thinking about, but I'm not sure if they do. Speaking of the Grave Wardens, one's coming up right now. Yeah. I don't know if there's a real difference semantically from the difference between guarding and playing whack-a-mole. You mean patches? Kappa. Oh, he's got a DLC weapon. That weapon is pretty cool. Well, Priscilla said things were peaceful, its inhabitants kind. That was obviously not the truth. Toby, I'm gonna kick down the ladder and grab this. Alright. You wanna have a fight? Let's have a fight. Ah. I actually haven't used that weapon yet, so... haven't really seen it in action other than just like picking it up off of her corpse. Side note, I'm gonna go run and grab my souls and then come back. I did get the shortcut before I went and fought the guy, so not the biggest deal. Grab my souls and then we can read the Pursuer's Shield. I partialed that. Yep, it's also a Celtic goddess. Man. Alright, time to stop being fancy. Attain... ah, damn it. Attain was, the woman Madeir was Mackinac in Irish mythology. There's an accent over the E, but too much trouble to make everybody go find the accent over the E to spell it correctly. Oh, the invader killed me. I was just grabbing my souls and stuff, but I aggroed the grave hunter, and I was like partialing the entire time. Mostly because I think I was impatient, so I was just partialing him because I was hitting him early. But Attain, oh, don't worry about it, Toby. It happens. Invaders happen. But yeah, Madeir was macking on Attain. So that's where the password comes from. This character's name is Olwen, which is a Celtic goddess of the sun. And side note, the bow and arrow lightning miracle also comes from Celtic mythology. Celtic or Welsh mythology, I think. He was rocking a pretty good setup. So I'm not too plussed. I forget who it was. I want to say it was one of the Celtic or Irish war goddesses that used a lightning bow and arrow. And I like skimmed that and I was like, hey, isn't that familiar? Alright, what do I got? Time to see how many souls I have Man, Velka, you expensive. We're gonna do the lower route with the crystal lizards first, and then we're gonna go do the rest of the cathedral. Just so you guys know and aren't like surprised. The heck, man? Okay, there. All right, let's rock. We're going to pick up the Bellvine, which is also neat, especially in light of Dark Souls 2. Alright, let's go this way. Did it drop me something? It did drop me something. Soul of a deserted corpse. Saint Tree Bellvine. Oh, fireball. You're so far away. Hey, Memitim. How's it going? Nice to see you. I'm never gonna get used to that. There we go. Alright. Let's go wake somebody up from their nap. This poor guy, he was just napping. He even made himself a little nest. And then all of a sudden these people show up and they're like, you get more and more nap. No more nap for you. Alright. Let's get the poison bite ring. This also serves to tell you about some of like the places you will go, and this is a shortcut above us. So that's a little bit of neat level design. Should be a Titanite shard up here. Yeah, it's up there. So that's a neat bit of level design. yeah. The up ramp is over here. Alright, and then you can go this way and go up the ladder. I really like how the Havoc cloth physics engine is implemented in this game. Like 90% of games run Havoc physics engine and Havoc cloth engine, but I don't know, it just works really well here. In Destiny, fun Destiny stories is Destiny also runs Havoc, but they don't have like ragdolls on because I don't know. But like sometimes the hunter capes like break and they like stretch across the screen. I'm like, oh, Havoc. So we will be opening that door later. So this is probably the most Dark Souls 1 stretch of combat in Dark Souls 3. It's very long. It's full of hoopla. Not a whole lot of places to rest. It also kind of reminds me of Demon Souls, because Demon Souls was like, you get the start of a level, you get that arch tree, and that's it. Then you have to go to the boss. You have to run the whole level to get to the boss. Is it worth going that way? I don't know. Let's go. Undead Hunter Charm is what they're called now, because Lloyd got discredited. But yet the reason for it still remains. Nameless Soldier. Good attempt, dude. Good attempt. You know how many times I had my luck build had to kill these things for twin blades? That's a super item gank, but... Yeah, seriously, bless RNG. My luck build, which hinged on those swords, it took me like a bunch of times to get them. Prism stones! With how important the Chloranthy and grass is in the end of Dark Souls, which probably shouldn't surprise anybody considering grass was the healing item in Demon Souls. I'm surprised Prism Stones didn't get super lore important at the end. Alright, I got a dry finger so I can pick you up. Although I might send you guys away so I can pay Velka and then come right back. Oh. You want to go down? Okay, let's go down. So there's a deep gem over here. This is a long loading transition. I don't know why they it takes so long. Give me a second, just check here. Yeah, shards. Okay, so this is so she was looking at this here deep pool. Sorry, let me move aside. So she was looking at this here deep pool. She might also be hanging out with this dead body. She might know who this is. But it definitely seems like they are looking into the deep. And while it looks like water, it also kind of looks like a pit into the abyss, sort of like the dark chasm of old, or the chasm into the abyss. So she, when you find her, is just kind of staring off into the distance here. Let's see if I can't landmark this a little bit more. I think we were over that way, where the crystal lizards were. That's a weird... I don't know if you guys see that weird texture that's not really loading. It's blue over there. And that's about it. So the evangelists who we started finding in the Undead Settlement, who are making red trotches, or red bug pellets as they are called in this game, and they are feeding it to people that they are burning to help ease their pain while they're being burned alive. Well, alive is a relative term in Dark Souls, I guess. Come from here, and there's evangelizing the deep's message, and they're all women, which probably goes all the way back to the whole women are different in Souls games. And then you come here and you find a bunch of ministers here, and one of them is staring into what looks like a pit of the deep or pit into the abyss. I'm gonna go pay. I'm gonna pay Velka, and I'll be right back, and I will pick everybody back up, if that's okay with everyone here. I will be right back. Gotta pay Velka, who is really expensive for some reason. Manikin Claws cost 35 grand. Unless you don't care about Yuria. I'm doing it for the lore, y'all. Doing it for the lore. Hey, Twizzy. You can pop a purging stone. What you can't do is you can't fix it with the Firekeeper soul. Probably because purging stones aren't permanent. Rude. So you can pop a purging stone, you can do X, Y, and Z, but you cannot heal it with the Firekeeper. Healing it with the Firekeeper will kill the quest. Paying Velka? What I did was I paid Velka to have Yuria stop being mad at me. I hit her 3 times with my shield. Hitting an NPC 3 times will permanently aggro them. And when you aggro Yuria, you get invaded twice. Once by the Pale Shade at the swamp, and then once again over at Irithyll. So what I do when I want to get the Manikin Claws and the Pale Shade armor is I will make Yuria mad right before I get invaded by the Pale Shade, fix it with Velka, and then make Yuria mad again when I get there. So she's perfectly fine now. Hey Yuria, remember when remember that thing when I hit you a couple times? that was funny, right? So yeah. Side note, aggroing Yuria is a sin. You would think it wouldn't be because she's Yuria, but it's a sin. Yeah, I guess. I guess you're right there, Hunter. Assault of a defenseless NPC. So Dex is going to go to 12. And that'll be the minimum for Onyx Blade. And give her the Umbral Ash for Paladin while I'm here. It was 35 grand. Defenseless. Hey, she can be parried like everybody else. That means she's defenseless. Black bog pellets are new, and those are unlimited. At all times, the Abyss Watchers of the Undead Legion kept a supply of these concoctions prepared by the Acolytes. Rumor has it that the Gru descendants still make these concoctions. Repair powder. Undead Hunter Charms are permanent, as seen in the icon. Dual Charms are permanent, as seen in the icon. Prism Stones, I think, are now permanent. I need to buy one of these. And you've got a whole bunch of things now. Yeah. I think this is permanent now. The ring down here. With the Paladin's ashes. Which kind of still suggests to me that those are Paladin Leroy's ashes. But it's been so long since Dark Souls 1, I doubt it, but I kind of want it to be. Alright, I'll deal with the crows later. The crows have a lot of things I need to give them, but I'll do that before I sign off. True, Kirk is still around. So let's tackle the interior. If the Jon Snow build doesn't have Tears of Denial, Jon Snow needs to have the Tears of Denial. Thank you, Memitim. Tears of Denial. Anyone else? I'm gonna pop dried fingers just to make sure. Alright, let's go take care of the interior. Right. Mammotin, when you can, let me know how the Loki, hello. Dog just kind of ran in here, huffing, demanding to be given attention. Isn't that right, Loki? Alright, we're going this way. Loki, what are you doing? Wow, 222. With a +3 Pyromancy Flame. Alright, let's do this. That guy and his jukes. So, how many of you guys have seen JSF's Bastard's Curse video? Because you guys totally should, if you have not. Camera. Did she have rapport on? It seemed like rapport. Everybody huddle around the warmth. I really love the evangelist design in this game. The evangelist design is super neat. It kind of combines the butcher stuff from Dark Souls 1 with the Fat Minister stuff. I don't know if anybody has realized it, but like there's a black lace panel on the hat that covers the face. Mimics are the goofiest that they've ever been in this game. I totally missed. Real mimics are those mimics who were part of that tribe. Dark Souls 1 does a better job of explaining, but like the original mimics were part of a tribe. They were so greedy that they got turned into mimics. This game combines Dark Souls 2 and Dark Souls 1 mimics, which kind of suggests to me that Aldrich mimics. Oh, he got reported. Okay, never mind. Let's fight a... King of Avarice! Oh, that's cool! Now I'm really sad that that's not a thing. And he does like both. He like he does the yoga moves that the Aldrich mimics do, and the kung fu that the original mimics do. It's getting on my nerves. Let me take that off. Kirk. 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 Kirk, where? There you go, Kirk. Well, see you later, Kirk. Nice seeing you. I think, didn't somebody say that Kirk, in Dark Souls 3 has a female body? Or is it just a really thin guy? Kirk having a female body would make a whole lot of sense, actually. Let's go hit the shortcut. Unless you guys want to go run after the Dark Spirit, which is fine. And that's the area that we saw from below when we picked up Poison Bite. Did you just respawn there? Oh, there they are. Well, sorry. So yeah. Loki, what is the matter? What do you want? The dog has just come down to where I'm sitting, and he's just leaning against me right now. Loki, what's the matter? You don't know? You're just gonna shake your ears because it makes a sound? If you don't know what my dog looks like, exclamation point Loki. Loki has his own command. Ha! It's Vanessa again. Sorry, Vanessa. St. Bident. He is a cute dog, just saying. What's the matter, Loki? What's the matter? Poor Loki. Loki tries so hard, but he's such a small dog. He's a Pomeranian Chihuahua cross. Visions of Dark Souls 1 right here. That's how I used to farm green Titanite shards. Wow, double KO. So rude. I'm gonna lift this gate over here. Hey Mimitim, how is Demon Scar anyway? On a pyro build. Ooh! Is this gonna be your first time through Demon Souls? We'll be heading back soon. I gotta open up a couple of doors and let patches in. I know everybody says, I know even I say this is a crack theory, but what if Patches is the pursuer in Dark Souls 2? And which would make more sense in Dark Souls 3, considering when you open the door closest to the pursuer's great shield, Patches appears. Yeah, Duke Glitch is pretty good. I'd give you a pure Bladestone, but the way that the servers work in Demon Souls, I can't. Because the servers are paid by the 4 different companies that have anything to do with Demon Souls. Like, FromSoft doesn't pay for the servers; the individual companies do. Yeah, co-op's pretty dead. And it really depends on which server. Because Atlas Sega pays for the servers in the US. FromSoft Sony pays for them in Asia. And Bandai Namco pays for them in the EU. Hey guys, let's talk to a guy in an onion suit. The slickest... Oh, and it is it's the worst poison swamp, but once you've dealt with it the first time, it's not like that. Dealt with one, you've kind of dealt with them all, and they're not that bad. Yeah. Valley of Defilement. I think Valley of Defilement's worse than Blighttown.
You look reasonably sane. I am a knight of Catarina. I've managed to track down this cathedral's store of treasure. It's right over there, across that narrow part.
Wow, across that narrow part. I like treasure.
Yet so far. I'm in quite a pickle.
You're actually an onion, sorry.
is so sorely tempting.
Yeah, it's... That's the origin of the 200 arrow thing, because it does take 200 arrows to, like, kill the red dragon in Boletaria 1-2. And then they, like, repeat that in Dark Souls. I love how the subtitles are incorrect, and they never fixed it.
Thought you could outwit an onion. Well, say hello to the nice giant.
Here comes a rare dialogue. The best dialogue.
Where's the old giant? Have you no shame?
Have you seen my face? Damn. Loki, I know you want attention. You know that... It's possibly true. Considering Patches is eternal. And he's the pursuer in Dark Souls 2. Loki, what are you... Why are you half laying on my lap? Sorry guys, my dog is being... wants attention. Endgamer. So the rare dialogue you can trigger when you kill the dragon. I mean, not dragon. You kill the giants before you even trigger the first dialogue. So if you kill both giants, and then you go find Patches, and then you trigger him being Patches, then, alright, let's go get Mamatim. Then he'll be salty about how you killed the giants. Ah, that was early. This is me wanting to be fancy a little bit. I saw that you can two-hand their sword. Parry their sword. Which I thought you couldn't do because they were two-handing great swords. But I saw that you can do it. I wanted to try it. Maybe not. It'll be late. I think I'm going to IKEA tomorrow. Actually. IKEA is like a 45-minute drive for me, so like... Partial. Man, I've been bad at parrying these guys all night. Not sure what I'm gonna get at IKEA. Probably some meatballs. Yeah, lingonberry juice is great. So, like, I have to be up probably early. I'm not sure when we're leaving, or when everybody wants to go. But I do know I can't stay up that late. IKEA's like the playground of adults or something. It's so weird. Adults freaking love that place. Actually, Dave will know because Dave is actually local to me. There's another furniture shop by the IKEA that that has like an indoor rope park. Let's go do the upper. Yeah, let's do the upper part. Yeah, the Jordan's Furniture. It's an like a rope park or something. I've never been to that, but that's like next door to the IKEA also. Oh, thank you. Yeah, it's a furniture adventure district down there. Alright, let's go. All aboard the train. Alright, let's go. It's so weird to be like, yeah, I'm going to the furniture shop because I want to go run around on their rope stuff. It's true though. Dark Souls at the IKEA. So that guy is not actually aggroed, and he won't attack you. He'll just kind of stare at you. And he's carrying the Deep Ring, which if you guys, I don't know if you guys are gonna go ahead or whatever, but it says something really interesting. A ring bestowed upon the deacons of the Cathedral of the Deep allows attunement of additional spells. In the cathedral slumber things most terrible, and as such the deacons require a grand narrative to ensure they do not falter in their duty. A philosophy to ward away the madness beckoned by the grotesqueries at hand. Now I'm sure everybody's like talked about that in particular, but that's not the only full like grand narrative that people have in Dark Souls to excuse whatever sins they commit. By the way, this alcove in New Game Plus or Double Plus carries a ring. I forget which one, but there is a ring right there. But like the Way of White is itself a grand narrative to have people write their own blank checks about what they do and do not do. There's a Pale Tongue there. That guy is probably a Rosaria follower. Arbalist is down one of these flying buttresses. Down this way. No! It's not the only knight we need to kill up here. There's a blessed gem all the way over this way. I'm just gonna ignore that thrall. Blessed gem. Cathedral Knight Helm, sweet. So, the helm is neat. Let me go over to where helms are. Massive iron helm worn by knights serving the Cathedral of the Deep. Repulsive creatures of the deep are sure to attract the foolish, but the Cathedral Knights are prepared to meet such intruders head-on with their more than ample might. Are we the foolish or the deacons the foolish? Tin hat hype. I rarely wear a hat, so... Like, I'll wear something... The Pyromancer crown is usually what my go-to, or the Sorcerer hood. I like the Sorcerer hood a lot, as far as Fashion Souls is concerned. Whoops, wrong thing. No, Jon Snow! What about your Teals of Denial? Yeah, best hats are Bloodborne hats, I think.
Yes, hello. I don't believe we've met. I'm Patches. Unbreakable Patches. You seem to be unkindled. Do you
Yeah.
have business with me?
Yeah?
Of course not. We have just met after all. Sorry, I've been a bit on edge. Forget I even asked. But this is your lucky day.
Is it?
I happen to be a world-renowned travelling merchant.
Really?
If you're as unkindled as you look, you'll find many a useful thing here.
But I am devoid of all worldly wants. What could I possibly want? I can't finish the joke. Couple of things of funny self-referential note. Maybe? I don't think so. So, a couple of things of self-referential note. As far as Dark Souls 3, this is your first clue if you find him that he's... Well, your first clue was seeing him in the Cat Arena stuff, and then finding him here, you'll see that he took the armor, and he's selling it to you, and you can buy it. He's selling his own armor and poison arrows. He's selling Lautrec's stuff, 2 shotles, and a parrying dagger. Super duper aside, Lautrec and Patches have the same voice actor, if you forgot. So it's doubly funny that Patches has his other characters' stuff just, you know, hanging out right here, and some rubbish and some other stuff. He's the go-to for black fire bombs and human pine resins if you need them. Poison arrows are not as good as they were in Dark Souls 2, so I don't usually keep a stack of them. But yeah, some funny things regarding Patches. He also has a ring sometimes. I forget what the trigger is for that.
Thanks, sweetie.
Which is probably the most hilarious thing in Dark Souls 3.
Oh, yeah. Can't find anything in here, could you?
When you say you know who I am, he'll talk about how it was my armor. It was the armor's doing. No, I don't think I picked up the blessing. I think I didn't see it. Why can't I lock on? I just have these urges sometimes. And you look like a cleric. I mean, For real. Don't, I just hate clerics. Okay, I can't enter with Mammotum here. But I have the shortcut open, so... whatevs. Ha! Mammotum survived that. Oh, rip. I'm gonna pop that bonfire and then I'm gonna switch back. If you guys want to form up by the Deacons of the Deep, I'll pick you up there. When you... I thought I defeated, what's-her-face twice. Anyway, this is Rosaria. She has a huge throne-like bed like, Lothric. She's got messy hair. Lots of hair. She actually looks a lot like Alsana. I'm not saying. I'm just saying. Actually, I should go deal with... I guess I just needed to reset the area. Yeah. I was like, wait, where is it? And it just wasn't there yet. That's Kirk's set that you get for beating him up in... because you don't have to kill Kirk like 4 times, like in Dark Souls 1. Alright, let me just give a certain onion his armor. And I'll go find you guys. And yeah, there's a few different ways for you to realize what's going on with Patches and Sigvard. Hi.
Just how long has it been?
2 weeks.
It's me, Secret of Catarina.
How can I forget?
Someone's swept my arm. Did you happen to see it anywhere?
Oh, I saw it. It's right here. It's right next to this well. Yep. Sigvard is kind of like Benhart, and he's kind of like Bjor of the Twin Fangs. They externalize their own interior strength in something that's with them. Like Benhart, he was strong, And his sword was actually pretty weak slash useless. But he believed that the sword gave him power, and so he thought it did. That's the first thing. And like Bjor is just Bjor. So Bjor will do what Bjor does because Bjor is Bjor. And Bjor is very similar to Sigvard. And Sigvard, he, like Benhart, kind of thinks that his armor gives him power, when really it's just him who gives it power. You know, the Vilzer Mach or something like that. I paid 35 grand for these Manikin Claws. I'm gonna darn well use them. Oh yeah, that's true too. He could just be really embarrassed. In New Game Plus, there is a ring right here. I think it's the Evil Eye ring, +1. I wonder if I have to pop dried fingers again. Let me make sure I'm not forgetting anybody. Oops. Well, I took Henri. Henri's right there, Horus is over there, and then Cirrus, if you have her, she's down here. Let me just throw on some Alluring Skulls. Everybody ready to go? Alright. This should make it an actual battle. Maybe. Well, maybe not. The soul went this way. Pay close attention to the soul. I don't think it's a coincidence that it looks like the curse visual representation from Dark Souls 2. That comes up one more time over in Irithyll with the jailers. And the jailers do so that's the deacons. You can see them up top. Very clay army. I don't know if you guys know. One of the ancient Chinese emperors had a representation of his army, all the way down to each individual people's faces, carved out of clay as a sort of funeral burial ground kind of thing. That seems very similar to up there, because those are all deacons. Sorry, Toby. I knew there was another sign, and then I picked one, and then I totally forgot. Resetting the area will get you this. I think the chains are really... Well, they all end in sensors. And they're all probably the source of the fog. But the other thing is the deep ring looks like a bunch of chains. Rings. There. So the deep ring looks like a chain. The deep ring is not the only ring, or it talks about the grand narrative that the people of the deep needed, but it isn't the only grand narrative being told or being shoved down people's throats in Dark Souls. There's also the Way of White that has a huge grand narrative that's also kind of false, that people use to excuse their actions. Self-justifications and mental gymnastics being as they are. Speaking of the Way of White, ring given to Knights of the Way of Right depicts Allfather Lloyd's Sword of Law. Boosts attack power when HP is full. Much time has passed since the worship of Lloyd was common in the Way of White. The clerics of Carim have always strongly asserted that Lloyd was a derivative fraud, and that the All-Father title was self-proclaimed. Not the only person who self-proclaims titles, if Carim is to be believed. There's also Aldrich, which we did get earlier, and I haven't read that one yet. A malformed ring left by Aldrich, Saint of the Deep. Recovers FP from critical attacks. Aldrich, infamous for his appetite for flesh, apparently had the desire to share with others his joy of imbibing the final shudders of life while luxuriating in his victims' screams. Very Hannibal Lecter. Yeah. Very psychopathic, sociopathic kind of I know I'm using the wrong words, but you know what I mean. And as we have always known from patches, clerics are not to be trusted ever. So, and patches, in his own way, always tells the truth. Remember that. Patches, above anybody, tells the truth. He's never specifically lied, and when he does, pretending to be an onion, it's really bad and short-lived. But in Dark Souls 1, he tells you the unmitigated truth about everybody. And he thinks you're a cleric too. Well, pushing you off. Hey man, the cliff is part of the truth. You gotta fall to be woke. But, I wonder if Patches ever really kind of trusts you either. Because, like, he always... In Dark Souls 3, he kind of thinks you're a cleric. Like, twice. And he tries to steal your stuff. Actually, does he even push you off a cliff in Dark Souls 3? Huh. Let's go level up and buy a couple things. Yeah, he'll mention it. Like, consider the Way of White in regards of the Ring City, and consider how much Patches actually basically tells the truth the whole time, and how much of a hate boner Patches has for clerics. And it starts to make a hell of a lot of sense. Especially since the starting class of cleric is one of your main enemies in the Ring City. Yeah, I'm like... He locks you in a tower, and you have to fall anyway. And then he lowers you really gently. Well, he can be summoned at Demon Prince, too. He's actually fairly useful as a summon for Demon Prince.
Speak thou heart's desire. Very well. Then touch the darkness within me. Take nourishment from these sovereignless souls.
I need 12 there. That's good. I can start jumping up my intelligence faith now.
Farewell, Ashen One. May the flames guide thee.
Okay, we picked up a couple other things that I didn't read yet. Start with key items. We picked up the Deep Braille Divine Tome, a Braille Divine Tome of the Deep belonging to Deacons of the Cathedral. Give this to a storyteller to learn miracles of the Deep. Intended to teach divine protection to the Deacons of the Deep, but later dark tales were added to its pages, such that it is now considered a thing profane. Or the Necronomicon. It does kind of look like the Necronomicon, doesn't it? We already read that. The Small Doll. Small silverwork doll depicting a young squire. In the legendary old city of Irithyll, situated in the Boreal Valley, the Pontiff Sullivan gave this doll to valued subjects, so that they might use it to cross the barrier when they return home. Listen carefully, and you can hear it say, "Wherever you go, the moon still sets in Irithyll. Wherever you may be, Irithyll is your home." We picked up a deep gem. Gem of Infused Titanite. Deep weapons inflict dark damage. Blue scaling. There is a darkness that lies beyond human ken. I don't think it is coincidence that Fire Gem and Deep Gem have the same drawing except different color. They're just reskins of one another. Crystal Gem and Chaos Gem also have a reskin of each other. And that's about it. Yeah! The real patches is at Half-Light at the very end. Alright, I've got a shard. Shows you how much I actually summon NPCs. I don't... When I play by myself, I don't summon NPCs. It's not like it's not a pride thing, it's just, I don't really like babysitting NPCs.
Oh, independent.
I'm gonna pick that up. Yeah, at the very literal end of the world.
Goodbye. And stay. There I'm pleased. Do not be gone for long.
I wonder if I can use anything else. Use anything new. Long swords, but everybody uses a long sword, and so that's kind of boring. Barbed straight sword. Rapier, meh. I went through an entire game with a rapier. Brigand axe, but is it? No, not really. Spears. Oh, right. I picked this up and never read it. Maybe I know I have to go back through the poison swamp just to pick up some things I missed. Sacred chime for the casting of miracles of the gods. A bell vine cut from a small saint tree that has been meticulously tended to. Saint tree bell vines are customary in their far north and allow for faster casting than ordinary chimes. And this is the same chime that used to be called the witch tree chime in Dark Souls 2. So it is fun to note that saint trees used to be witch trees, which also harkens back to the innate hypocrisy of changing social mores. More social mores change like the weather, according to Dark Souls. Yeah, a great axe is so nice. And this is probably the best axe for strength builds if you're a strength build. Actually, no, that's not true. Yorm's machete is the best axe for strength builds, but the great axe is pretty good too. The detail in the rings are ridiculously good too. And seeing the rings get made by Torch, the official ring maker, is pretty great too. Alright, let's go clean up the swamp. Do this first. And if we have time, kill the Abyss Watchers. Think see what I have. I have a couple things. I'm not going to really use the champions because I don't want to be too overpowered. So champions is for paying off Velka. How does that happen too? Like, Sam, can you tell me how that works out? Because that seems really funny. Do you get them like a lot of kiting? Is it like, do they get stuck in the fog or something? Come on. I help anytime. The Crown of Dusk. Right. Yep, the giant will help anytime there's a white birch tree. And they kind of have their own lighting so that you can see that it's there. But you have to kite the crab to it. Gold pine bundles. No. The Ring City is a real place. After all. Hashtag missed opportunity. This way, isn't it? No, it's not this way. Alright, lingering is useful, especially for sorcery builds. Like, sorcerers are hard pressed not to just put on all 3 of the dragon rings and just call it a day, but like, I think for a while my sorcerer build had all 3 of them and the sage ring, and that was that. Sorry, I'm just kind of collecting some things I missed while running through here the first time the other day. Yeah, it's just too good. Where am I? Okay. Yeah, guts. Nope. AI pathing. Just gonna let that run for a minute. Make your animated GIFs now. Nameless Knight Helm. Helm of a Nameless Knight, crafted with thin metal, greatly and reinforced by a grooved finished. Armor of Thorns. Armor of Kirk, notorious Knight of Thorns. A dense patch of thorns grows from its surface. A fitting item for the murderous Kirk, for even the simple act of rolling can damage enemies while wearing his attire. And Nameless Knight attire. By the way, this is kind of the hero armor from Dark Souls 1. In the opening cinematic, the undead being tended to by a firekeeper is wearing this armor. Can I wear this without being overweight? So yeah, in the opening cinematic of Dark Souls 1, the undead being tended to by the firekeeper is wearing this. Alright, greatsword. I don't think the greatsword says very much of anything, but... there. This ultra greatsword with its thick blade is one of the heaviest of its kind, highly destructive, if intolerably heavy. There would appear to be some credence to the rumors that this sword tested the true limits of human strength. Most of the people in Dark Souls 2 just kind of use this with reckless abandon. Warden Twin's blades, paired weapon wielded by the Grave Wardens of the Cathedral of the Deep. The Grave Wardens of the Cathedral who put down reincarnating corpses wielded weapons that caused profuse bleeding, for the loss of blood and bodily fluids is said to slow reanimation. You guys. The zombies are specifically called reincarnating corpses. The loss of blood and bodily fluids is said to slow reanimation. Hey, guess what doesn't have any blood right now? The Dark Soul does not have any blood, which is causing the world to fade and slow in its reanimation process, helped along by the fact Filianor is still sleeping. Come on, guys. But look, come on. Stuff staring us in the face. I'm gonna go hit the next bonfire. Which is why I'm pretty sure they wanted bleeding to be so powerful at the outset. But people complain, so... Damn right. It is inordinately exciting. And if you can't tell, I'm really excited. I love the Ring City. The Ring City is like my favorite bit of story and lore, and with how everything just kind of snaps into place. I feel like the story of Dark Souls kind of crystallizes with the Ring City. Anyway, I feel like just coming back through it and going through this with fine-tooth comb after the Ring City is, you start seeing stuff that they put together that was always there, but is very cool. That was mean. I was waiting too. Super early. So now that Yuria is back on your good side, you can go back to summoning the Pale Shade. Who else is here? John? Butcher's knife, huh? Yeah, it's because they get to... Man. Listen, dude, I got things to do. Yeah, fine. Don't chase after him. I haven't killed the Dark Wraiths yet. And right on cue. AI pathing, guys. Partial, but I'll take it. Partial, but I'll still take it. Yeah. Whatever. I'm really blasé about things like this. Don't give up, skeleton. Don't give up. I almost had your backstab, dude. I wish there was a dance emote. Make this Dark Souls the MMO. Give me a dance mode. I know! Man, I'm so sad about that. That's like the one thing I'm really sad about. No Chandler's Trident. No stupid dance. Can you imagine the Chandler's Trident with Archdeacon What's-His-Face's robes? Amazing. Ooh, poison gem. Oh, that'd be great. Our way back over. I'll pick that up later. That is Atonement and a Hollow Gem. Dun 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 dun. Where's my emotes? He's out. Alright. Then I won't do it either. Wow, did this just become a party? It's a party and I cry if I want to. Cry if I want to, cry if I want to. You would cry too if it happened to you. Da, 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 da. I'm dead. Yeah, Jon Snow has died until the plot deems it necessary for him to stay around. I think so. I think the purple kited it. Yay! I got a bird bra. So actually, I respect that strat. Grab the purple knight and just drag him in. It's a good strategy. Let me grab Atonement and then I'll pick you guys up. Atonement says, miracle given to those cast out from the Sable Church of Londor attracts more attention from foes. This is the only tale known by the exiles, who believe it carries words of forgiveness. Cursed journeys, too, must ultimately come to an end. Alright, let's Alright, let's go attack the Abyss Watchers. Make sure I don't have anything I need to give to anybody. Alright. Let's go. Channel. Pale Shade. Toby. Oh man, ice skating. I need to check out like Yuria on ice or something. Yeah, it's like all over my Twitter timeline from like my cousin talks about it. She really likes it, and it's all over my Twitter timeline. And I'm like, I should get around to seeing it. I haven't seen much in the way of like anime in like forever. Like Bug Pullet, which the Grooves have made. Yeah, I haven't seen very much in like forever. It's just that I know too much about how the economics work. That's really it. Let's RP walk in. Let's do it. Yeah. Oh. I've always kind of wanted to write an essay about the economics of souls, because souls is a perfectly valid currency from an economic standpoint. It's sufficiently scarce enough, but I haven't done it. It seems like one of those fun ideas, but I'm not sure how much of an essay I can write about it. That was a reaction parry. Just remember, nobody has poise. Don't feel bad. Yeah. I got used to poise not existing because, like, I started with Bloodborne. And, like, you didn't really... I didn't get used to it anyway. So, like, I've always played Souls games, modern FromSoft games, in, like, light armor and mobility. So that's pretty much what I got used to. So I like never got attached to the poise thing anyway, so I just kind of shrug at everybody being like, oh, poise. I never got into it anyway. This is the theme music that I realized that pretty much all the boss themes have bells in it because it's just so front and center. And it tells the story of the Abyss Watchers pretty well. I think Dark Souls 3's music are more intrinsic to the boss lore than they ever had in Dark Souls 2 or 1. Camera, why did you not turn? I think I'm gonna switch to that. Yay! Nice work, everybody. Hey, and sunlight medals. Sweet. So, the Abyss Watcher is probably one of my favorite bosses in Dark Souls 3. I have a lot of favorite bosses in Dark Souls 3. The Abyss Watchers are great. Pontiff Sullivan's great. Dancer's great. I like fighting dudes in armor, I'm sorry. I have no qualms, and I actually prefer fighting dudes in armor. It's just me. So, next stream, which will probably be Monday, we are going down. We're going to tackle my least favorite part of Dark Souls 3, which is Act 2. Yeah, Abyss Watchers are, lore-wise, incredibly interesting, because, I'm going to catch a lot of flack for this, but I think Dark Souls 3 is where FromSoft is its most confident in telling a story. And so there's a lot more of these, I stream usually 8 to 11 Eastern Standard United States time. So, it's, usually then or something. I'll probably mention it on my Twitter if I'm not going to stream that day. So I'm caught up in time stamping. We're busy. All of my information is below, or it's in the commands. But I'm going to catch... I think I'm going to catch flack for saying I think FromSoft is at its most confident storytelling-wise in Dark Souls 3. Yeah, probably because it's so much. It's so tight, but there's a lot of these little. But in Dark Souls 3, there's a lot of these little stories that coalesce into this huge whole. And I think the Abyss Watchers is part of that. You have. Where did I put the soul? Soul of the Blood of the Wolf. One of the Soul of the Blood of the Wolf. One of the twisted souls steeped in strength. Used to acquire numerous souls or transposed to extract its true strength. The blood was spread amongst the Abyss Watchers, and their souls are one with the soul of the Wolf Blood Master. And one of the swords you can get from this soul is the Artorias' great sword. So, these men, the Abyss Watchers, as we find out from Hawkwood, were all undead who wanted to find some sort of purpose in life, to believe themselves special, because undead everywhere in like the world of Dark Souls are hunted down. See also the Way of White. They're hunted down, they're like murdered, they're dragged into executioner, chariot, whatever's. Undead do not have a good life. In Dark Souls 1, they're thrown into an asylum after being hunted down by Way of White, all Father Lloyd guys. They're still hunted down by the lieutenants of the Old Iron King in Dark Souls 2. And it's a tough life, or unlife, for the undead in Dark Souls. And so you have all of these men banding together under a single banner. That's really powerful, by the way, for the undead, who everywhere, they are hunted down and discriminated against and thrown to the wolves and made to do X, Y, and Z And they bind together under this banner to prevent the abyss because they think Artorias is a human. He's not. And an undead. He's not. And they want to follow in his footsteps, and they find a common purpose, and they're linked together by the wolf's blood that empowers them, and they all became a Lord of Cinder under that one banner because they believed in something and they had this purpose. And Hawkwood very cynically says that undead just wanted to feel special because everywhere else in the world they are not felt special. And when you gaze at the abyss, the abyss gazes back at you. And these guys, after they rose from becoming a Lord of Cinder, and they rose because the fire is fading, all they can see in each other is the monsters that they were fighting when they first went down after becoming a Lord of Cinder. Because if you remember from the opening cinematic, they were rising from like collective graves. So after becoming Lord of Cinder, they, quote, died. And they were in a gravestone. But all they can see in one another was a monster. And all they could do was fight this dance of death over and over and over again. Because if you could hear it in the boss theme, because I know I keep the volume really low, they had the Bell of Awakening. And it is the same Bell of Awakening sound from Dark Souls 1 in their boss theme. And so they kept rising until you, the Ashen One, were able to put them down. Because the Ashen One, the person of memory from Ash, was for some reason able to put them down and put them to rest. It's a very tragic little story, and it's one of like my favorite little stories about like the Lords of Cinder. You can hear me get really animated when I talk about that. It's so good. All right. So we're back here at the Firelink Shrine. We have a few visitors that we have to visit. So let's talk to them. Because Act 1 is finished. Once you beat the Abyss Watchers, that's the end of Act 1 in Dark Souls 3. Like a movie, there's like 3 acts, or 4 acts, depending on how you count it. Even the story about Loretta is like super well fleshed out, depending on how you interpret it. Like, Loretta is an old woman who's about to die, who has her son, and her son, desperate to keep her alive, risks his own life to find, and he was successful. He found the BTSR, but he was too late. And Loretta is found in the Undead Settlement clutching a bone, hoping that it was a homeward bone, and clutching it so tightly her fingernails drilled holes into it. But she died like that. It's like, these stories, I think, are the most confident in Dark Souls 3 from all of the Souls games, even Demon Souls.
This place is a cesspool of doddering old.
I just love how confident the storytelling is. I can give the rest of the game a pass. The storytelling is just amazing.
This place couldn't open.
Doddering old folk. And like a doddering old folk, I like hit X on him like 4 times. Hey guys. What's up? We're looking cool. Can I look cool with you?
We spoke before of the Undead Settlement and the store. I'm well pleased to see you safe. We reached the Cathedral Interior, but Aldrich is
Same.
Its true home. The little girl in the empty coffin told me. Aldrich is set to hail from Irithyll, from the Boreal Valley, an ancient fabled city. A pilgrim told me that the city lies beyond Farum, and so becomes our destination. Aldrich's honest home is Irithyll in the Boreal Valley, an ancient fabled city. A pilgrim told me that the city lies beyond Farum, and so becomes our destination.
Not the first time you've heard about Irithyll, and also the small doll isn't the first time you hear about Irithyll too. The first time you hear about Irithyll is in the character creation screen, where one of the presets tells you that Irithyllians have features of the gods and they have super pale skin. The other really interesting one is the Serpentine guys, who have like yellow skin and have very similar features. Best line read in the series. Gives me conniptions.
So becomes
See here. Hey Hawkwood, you got anything to say?
I don't need it.
I already heard that. Why?
Undead Legion of Farum is a caravan of undead, sworn by wolf's blood to contain the abyss. The Legion will bury a kingdom at the first sign of explosion.
Very much like the preventative doctors in Bloodborne.
Gaining admission
Um,
to the Legion is a matter of
But
some ceremony. Inside
drowning a kingdom at the very first sign can result in something like New Londor. And like once you drain New Londor of the water, you can see the horror that must have happened with New Londor, because there are bodies just piled against the big door to the Valley of Drakes. Molding bodies of people who probably had nothing to do with the crap going on with the Four Kings or the Dark Wraiths, but they got drowned anyway. Lots of innocent people get killed in Dark Souls.
gaining admission to the Heave.
Alright, is that it?
So that's how they're delivered to their thrones. I pity the sorry souls. Is that really Lordship's last reward?
Yep, it really is. Sorry, Hawkwood. You kind of dodged a bullet. Let's see here. The ashes. We didn't read those. Cinders of a lord left by the Abyss Watchers. If the lords will not return to their thrones themselves, let them return as cinders. And note, it's cinders, not ash. It's a very slight differentiation of the vocabulary, but it is kind of an important differentiation. Let them return as cinders. The Watchers of the Abyss swore upon their shared wolf's blood, which also served as their mandate as lords. Hey Zach, we're about to finish up. And in fact, does anyone have any observations, thoughts, questions, anything at all from like what we ran through, what we did today, how that might relate to the other two games, anything at all? While I level up.
Welcome home, speaker. Very well. Then touch the darkness within me. Take nourishment from these sovereignless souls.
Let me give me a second. So Ash is Ash's memory, more or less. It's a big DS2 callback, but Ash is essentially memory. So the Ashen one is memory. There is actually an Ashen one in Dark Souls 2, but you only summon him once for the Looking Glass Knight, and I guess he can't get past there, so whatever. But you find out how much Ash's memory, the Ashen Mist Heart, with getting into the memories of the giants and stuff like that in Dark Souls 2. In Dark Souls 3, we are memory. We are a memory of somebody who failed to link the fire. the Shrine Handmaid uses ash and reaches into the collective memory, the collective unconscious, or like death itself to like drag out stuff to sell you. So ash is pretty much memory. Embers are a new thing to souls, but it is pretty much what it says here. It is a warmth, and warmth is life, because life is described by Aldea as resplendent and warm and stuff like that, and death is cold and not so resplendent. But warmth is a lie because of how fleeting it is, probably. And cinders are differentiated because like ash and embers are kind of taken by nomenclature in the game. Let's see here, is there anything else I can... The ash seeks life, man. Memory seeks life. Alright, I've got everything there. Can I reinforce? No.
Do not be gone alone.
Let me see here. What does Ludleth now have? It's still funny how Ludleth is the only guy who says his thines and thous perfectly. Like, he is the only character in any of these games who has the correct grammar. So, from the Deacons of the Deep, we have sorcery, we have Deep Soul. Sorcery of Archdeacon Royce and his deacons, said to have been imparted to them by MacDonald, the Boreal Valley. Fires dark soul dregs. Souls which swell from the deep pursue their targets, drawn towards life. Cleric's Candlestick. Candlestick used as both sword and catalyst, used for worship by the Deacons of the Deep. The deacons, under the guidance of Archdeacon MacDonald, became both clergymen and sorcerers, very much following the footsteps of their pontiff. Farron Greatsword. Greatsword of the Abyss Watchers, which is atypically paired with an unusual dagger. The dagger is utilized as a wedge in the left hand, while the greatsword is held in the right, a unique technique that was synonymous with the Undead Legion, confounds foes in the manner of wolves hunting prey. Probably has a relationship to the Legion in Ashes of Ariandel, also the Followers. That's probably how they started, the Followers, anyway. Or the Followers are just repeating how they started in the painting. Wolf's Knight's Greatsword, which is the majestic greatsword in Dark Souls 2, but whatever. Greatsword of a knight tainted by the dark of the abyss. This is the untrue Artorias sword, which is the easy one to get, rather than the true Greatsword of Artorias, which comes from a broken sword, I think. Broken sword plus 10 in Dark Souls 1. The Wolf's Knight was the first Abyss Watcher, and his sword is more punishing against creations of the Abyss. Yeah. Madeira is kind of weak to it because he's so big. He can't get out of it. Even though he moves a lot, he just can't get out of it because he's just so big. That's kind of a mechanical thing, but Pestilent Mercury, let me see here. Highly dangerous sorcery employed by Dragon School spooks, only taught to trusted members, releases mercury that eats away at HP. Beware, as the caster is not immune to its effects. A body caught in the silent mercury cloud lies still, while the face twists in tortured screams. The names of these learned sorcerers became feared for this gruesome spectacle. Oh, the domino mask? It was kind of, it looked like a Firekeeper crown, so maybe he was just dumb and he thought it was a Firekeeper crown, so he wanted it for Irina. Because, you know, Irina probably got really, or he probably got really jealous that the Firekeeper has a crown. And he wanted to get one for Irina. I wish I was joking, but that's probably just it. He was looking for a crown. And he got what he wanted, even though it wasn't really. The only time I've seen Pestilent Mercury for realies is Madeir. And it's really just because Madeir is just so big. But if there's nothing else anybody wants to talk about, I'll call it a night here. So thank you very much for joining me tonight. I know it's the internet, and the internet usually has like 5 different things you could be doing, but you chose to spend some time here. So thanks a lot. And I'll see you next stream. Probably Monday. Night, guys.